These are the adventures of a temporarily out of work wife and mother, and this is my home improvement project on my master and hall bathroom. This video is going to cover days 2 through day 4. Now, it's time for the big gap filler. Now, I told y'all I was going to tell y'all about the things that I did wrong, and I was going to leave them in here for y'all to see. Do not ask me why I oversprayed this gap filler like this. Like, literally, this nozzle is super easy to control. And all I had to do was put both my legs in the tub, and I would have had better form. And had I just used a rag expediently, I wouldn't have needed the amount of elbow grease that it took to get this stuff off the actual tub. Lord, this was definitely a learning process and a labor of love, because I got it all over that tool, and then I had to get it off the tool too. I didn't even need the tool, y'all. Now, the can clearly said to use 99% alcohol. Can you explain to me why I got this bottle of acetone? I don't even know what I was doing. I was tired. I should have just took my behind the bed. So this is what the big gap filler looks like when it starts drying. It's called big gap filler because it expands. So all I needed was a very thin strip of it, and it would have expanded to fill the hole. Now, I can't even tell you at what point I figured out that acetone was not the appropriate solvent for this, but I figured it out eventually. And I think I have that moment recorded, just not here. But for whatever it's worth, I made it work for the most part. And at some point, I gave up and decided that I would come back to it later on. But using the spatula tool helped a great deal. At some point, I did decide to work smarter instead of harder. So I made a list of all of the things that I wanted to do and the order that they needed to be done in order to not have to do rework. So the next thing that I decided to do was the doors and trims. I removed all the doorknobs, and I also used some liquid sander on the door so that I could take the shine off and prepare the area for painting. I also thoroughly cleaned all of the baseboards, all of the trim, and all of the walls. And here's a little snippet of some of the music that I listened to while I did this work.
Room like, go God, go God, hey, go God, go God, hey, go God. Look, running for the Lord, I'm playing on stopping. The devil see me, he get sick, nauseous. Told him to get off of me, Jesus gave him no option. Yes, every day I remember God promised. I remember them days I was lost and confused. When you living for God, there ain't nowhere to lose. You hot or you cold, which one you gon' choose? He cleaned out the old me and now I am new. Praising his name on a regular, separated so it's hard to get next to her. She's in the will of her father. You wanna get her attention and you must consult with the author. I be moving my faith with a blindfold. I don't gotta know long as God know. Going so deep with the Lord, I am breaking the shovel. On these blue levels with demons, man, we cannot play with the devil. They like, oh man, she up again. I want my savior reborn to win. Ain't no looking back or slowing down. So ain't no catching up for no sin.
And yes, this is day 3. And I am still on the doors and trim. And thankfully, I don't have any errors to show you, so I was able to cut some of that out. So this is the second door in the bathroom, the door to the closet. And since I have to wait for that liquid sandpaper to completely dry, I decided to go ahead and tape off the walls around the doors and the trim before I started painting, which was a really good idea. And since I forgot to buy paint stirrers, I ended up using the popsicle sticks that I use for waxing. And finally, there is some paint actually going up on the wall, which is how this all started. Remember, I was supposed to be painting? So here I am, painting. Now, please don't ask me why I did the trim around each door first, and then I did the doors, but that's what I did, y'all. And I cut part of that out because there were no bloopers. There was nothing really to see there. But here we are with the second door. At some point, my iPad battery died. So I did not record myself painting the baseboards. But I did. I painted them that same day. And when I tell you, I was absolutely exhausted when I finished doing this. I know I lost some weight when this was done. So I thought it was a good idea to do both bathrooms at the same time. So everything I did in one bathroom, I went and did in the other one. So that way I could kind of keep a routine going, I guess. So I did not record the cleaning of the walls and the doors and the baseboards because I had the kids do that. I also did not record painting the trim and the doors in their bathroom because it worked exactly the same way. So here we are on day 4, and I am scrubbing the heck out of this tub. I'm getting ready to fill it with some water again so that I can caulk the bathtub. Now, something must have went wrong with my list of things to do in the order to do them in, because I did not consider the fact that it was going to be really hard to take this towel rack down with a tub full of water underneath it. It would have helped if I could have stood in the tub and taken this off, but here we are. At one point, I had my whole leg cocked up on the wall to keep myself from falling in the tub when I took the rack off. My God. And as expected, I dropped something in the tub of damn water. So then I proceeded to take all of the hooks and towel rods, etc. down off the wall in the master bathroom and the kids' bathroom. And in that process, because of the color scheme we were going for, I realized that I was going to have to replace all of the ones that were in our bathroom with the exception of the hand towel hook. So I just went ahead and loosened the braces on all of the ones that I knew would be able to stay, because I was replacing them with the kind of rods that would be using the same hookup. So it would be using either the same anchors or it would be using the same plates. The ones that weren't, I went ahead and I removed the anchors, and then I realized that I did not have hole filler. So I had to order that too. Now, one of the towel racks I got from the dollar store, so I'm not going to be able to put a picture of it here, but I know how much it cost. I also decided that I wanted to put a new towel rack in the kids' bathroom, and I wanted to get them decorative towels that they could not use, because the last time I used towels to decorate in there, it did not take long before they started using those towels. So now I am taping off the tub so that I can caulk. This is what I should have done when I used the big gap filler. It certainly would have made life easier. But no. And this was the point where I was really ready to give up on this whole dang one thing. I'm over here trying to tape off the tub with water in the tub. So once again, I got my foot up on the side of the tub, and it's working until it's not. How about I get over here and the dang on tape fall in the water? And this is that general purpose tape, so it's not waterproof. So I dropped the tape in the water, but I don't just drop the piece that I'm trying to put against the tub. I dropped the whole roll in the water. I think I might have used some profanity. This is the point where I was tired and should have just went to bed. But nope, I kept on pushing. Because I am one determined young lady, I tell you what. And you know what they say, when it rains, it pours. Because, again, I proved that I needed to go to bed. Now, I got this professional grade caulk gun. And I got this professional grade silicone caulk. And they both came with instructions. Instructions that I did not read nor follow. And now that I have read them, I'm going to tell you what they say, just in case you decide you're not going to read them, hell. And I promise you, I would have had no problem with showing you exactly what happened. But I guess God decided to spare me the embarrassment, because just as the caulk tube exploded in my hands, the video space ran out. There was caulk all over my hands, all over the floor, all over the caulk gun, all over my shirt. And I think cleaning it all up was the priority, not the recording. Now, don't let this dissuade you from caulking if you've never done any caulk. Just learn from my example. I promise you, this is so easy that somebody who is not sleepy as hell can do it. So first, you want to cut the tip so that it's the size that you want the bead of silicone to be when you squeeze the caulk gun. Then you want to use the little puncture tool on the side of the caulk gun to pierce the seal on the inside of the tube of silicone by pushing it down inside of the hole that you just made in the tip. You'll hear a little pop and you'll feel it give. Failure to do so means that the tube of silicone that's already under pressure is going to be under more pressure when you start loading the gun. And what you think is going to happen? Just like any other kind of gun, it's going to backfire and explode all over you. Ask me how I know. Now, I rigged it so that I could use what was left in the tube, but that didn't even cover a fourth of the tub. So I had to call that lady's son that I married and ask him to buy another tube. So when I show you my updated cost breakdown, I'm going to have a column for wasted funds as well. And this is how that conversation went when I called that man. Is there any way you can get another tube of this since I done ruined it? I would order another one from the Amazon, but it ain't gonna come in enough time. I'm in the middle of this. Whew, I should have known. I was gonna have some hiccups. I'm not surprised, but ooh, this is the GE 100% advanced silicone. You want me to send you a picture? Okay, I'll send it after. Or just text me or something. I said text me like when y'all almost there, and then. Oh goodness. Okay. All right. And just so we clear, this is not the only call that I had to make like this, where I had to ask that man to go to Lowe's and buy something. Golly. So while I waited for him to bring it, I went ahead and cleaned up what I could because I wasn't going to need to go back over those particular areas again. And I just needed to fill in a few little gaps and then do the rest of the tub once he came. And because that was 30-minute silicone, I needed to hurry up and remove that tape. Otherwise, I wasn't going to be able to finish cleaning it up later. So I went ahead and finished cleaning it up. And you kind of alternate between that tool and the spatula thingy in your finger to get a nice, smooth, tight, clean seal. And now that we have another tube, let me show you how this is done the right way, and it's at normal speed. So you see I got caulk all over it, right? But anywho, I cut the tip to the size I wanted, and I'm using the puncture tool to go down inside the tube. Sorry that the view is not that good, but you can see where there was some resistance and then there wasn't. And then I'm putting the actual caulk into the gun, and then I'm going to remove the gap between the top of the caulk gun and the tube of caulk. That can be done one of two ways: the slow way, squeezing the hammer, or by pushing down the metal lever and then pushing in the bar in the back. And once the tube is flush with the top of the caulk gun, I can actually load up the caulk gun by pulling the black handle. And the silicone will start to immediately begin dispensing from the caulk gun and create a perfectly beautiful line. Well, it would be perfectly beautiful if I could reach over this tub full of water. But as I've shown, if there is a will, there is a way. Because I got the hang of this thing, baby. And once I didn't have to reach over the tub as far, baby, I was rocking and rolling. Look at that beautiful line. So this is the end of day 4 and the end of caulking this dang on tub. Now, I wasn't done caulking altogether because I still needed to caulk the sink and caulk in the children's bathroom, but there wasn't anything else to record and show as it related to caulking because I had this thing down packed, baby. And once my original layer of caulk was dried, like I said, it only takes about 30 minutes. I did go back over the tub because I wanted to make sure that that seal was really good in some of those spaces where I could see that it was a little patchy.